could tell you about like my second night at this last lightning in a bottle, where I was like the most fucked up I've ever been in my life.
Do it.
I mean, yeah, it was me and my buddy Logan Dini. Shout out Logan Dini. This Saturday night at Lightning in a Bottle, and we had asked Nick if we could borrow his ketamine, and he ended up giving us his bag. And at the end of the night, like Dini and I ended up like getting really fucked up in this treehouse at Lightning in a Bottle at the favela stage. And at one point, we like got to a point where we like couldn't go down the treehouse, and so we ended up making friends with this group from Oklahoma that also happened to be like in the same boat. And we were like, "What's up, guys? How's it going?" And they're like, "Dude, like, I don't know if we can get down here." And we would look at like the ladder of the treehouse we were in at Favela. We were at this stage called Favela, where it was like a bunch of like tree houses like around the stage, and we got to a point where we really couldn't get down. And there was a point where like my reality has never been more altered, to a point where like I didn't know where I was, like didn't know who I was, and like I've never seen my vision or like my like any senses like get to a point where they've been like that skewed, you know? And like at one point my vision was literally like I'm trying to think of it. It's like almost like being like a crystal ball, but looking like from the inside out, to where like it almost seemed like I was in like a 3-dimensional like soccer ball, where like there was like a bunch of like different like, you know what I mean? There was
like a kaleidoscope?
Yeah, it was almost like a kaleidoscope kind of thing, where like your depth perception was like so off that you had no idea where we were. And I would look at the ladder that we were at, like at the favela stage, and we like literally like could not get down if we had tried. And somehow we did. I mean, it was like probably like 3 a.m. by the time we were like coherent enough to go back to the camp, and we were like, yeah, we should probably go back home. And we got back to the camp, and I ended up like seeing people at the camp that like weren't there at the festival. If that makes sense.
Like hallucinating people?
Yeah, like I saw my buddy Blake. So like at one point we were at the campsite sitting down at the camp chairs, like forget like the whole walk home, like that was the craziest shit I had ever been through. And we got to a point where like I saw my buddy Blake sitting on a camping chair, and he wasn't even at the festival at the time, and he was sitting next to a girl in like a red like cloak, and it honestly like kind of reminded me of like Little Red Riding Hood. Like imagine like our buddy like Blake brosing, and he was next to this like almost like not like kind of like a young like girl that was like in like a red like cloak, and I had noticed them, and I was like, "Hey guys, what's up?" And I looked away and looked back, and the camping chairs were empty.
And I never heard this story.
Yeah, and Blake was nowhere in sight of like, he was like hundreds of miles away, and the girl was not there at all. And I like looked away and like went back to it, and it ended up being just like 2 empty chairs. And I mean, I feel like that's all I remember from the rest of the night. It was pretty wild, honestly.